Like Job in the Old Testament, Mother Mariam Thresia of Puthanchira was tested and proved her virtues carefully. Her history records that the devils in tens, thousands and 10,000s tested Mariam Thresia for 3 years with the permission of God from 23rd January 1902 to 8 December 1904. The hell tried desperately to destroy her hope and trust in God, to accuse her before God. We read from the accounts of diary by Father Joseph Vidayathil that she was severely tortured by evil forces. At times, they inflicted her more than permitted by God. The tempters tried to convince her that God had abandoned her. They often said, "God is not pleased with your acts of virtue, so do not do them again." They tried over and again to convince her, saying, "You need not to obey your confessor. You must renounce God and your spiritual father." Sometimes they made her feel disgusted with her acts of penance and tried to make her give up all hope. But Thresia was firm that I am an unworthy sinner. If so, God should win it. In the midst of intense suffering, she had to face severe trials against the virtue of hope and chastity. As directed by Blessed Mother, her spiritual father used to go to her house every day and advise her to abandon herself to the will of God. Reverend Father Vidayathil records that most of the time she used to hold the crucifix in her hand and utter the holy name of Jesus and Mary. Her letters to the spiritual father shows her terms of sure confidence in God. "Although God sends me sorrows and afflictions, I am not worried." When it was too long and too severe, her spiritual father used to command the hell to stay away for a few hours to strengthen her in God. Some of the letters written to her spiritual father sounds that it was she who imparted confidence to her spiritual father. She wrote, "When we are afflicted with grief and sorrow, we must have a special trust in God." Again, she writes, "I trust that God is God." Father, if you feel worried or afraid for any reason, please drive away such feelings immediately in the name of God. Our God is our hope. Thresia's firmness failed the efforts of the devils, making them more and more furious upon her. Sometimes they would cut off her hands and neck, leaving it in a different location. They tied her whole body with ropes, wrapped her in a mat, and put her on the ceiling of the house, buried her in the grain barns, threw her down from the roof, suffocated her placing heavy objects on her body, cast her eye with chili, threw stones at her, blinded her, hit her until she was bleeding all over, thrashed her with thorny bushes, and left her hungry for days. They did everything they could to torture her and subdue her. Besides the physical torture, they tried to confuse her with virtue and knowledge, lift her hope and trust with soft talks, reasoning, arguing, and threats all the way they could. They disguised themselves as heavenly beings or as a spiritual father to direct her away from good. But Thresia did not once fall prey to their mental or physical tortures and temptations. Thresia had become the talk of the town as possessed due to the extraordinary phenomena happening in her. An order of exorcism from the bishop had flamed rumors all over. As the turbulent seas calmed beneath, Thresia rested in serenity and tranquility. She said, "If God is God, why a sinner be anxious? I trust in God." On 15th August 1904, Blessed Virgin Mary revealed Father Joseph that the period of trials permitted by God for 3 years would end by 23rd Jan 1905 and that many things would happen through her. When this was told to Reverend Bishop, he suggested to pray to reduce the period yet again, demanding a sign from heaven. Blessed Virgin granted this favor and revealed that her trials would end by December 8, 1904. Thresia, who always wanted the full share of Christ's passion, the trials, temptations were another lovely chance to confirm her readiness. Calvary or wilderness she was eager to go through because Christ had undergone them both. The firm resolution of Thresia to follow the will of God was a narrow road she chose for Christ. We shall chase the next episode for more highlights to it. Till then, prayers.